Hey guys! So in this video we're going to learn about the basics of HTML. We're going to create a simple web page here on the right, starting off with a couple little headers. We're going to have some paragraphs, horizontal lines, a table, some list items, an image, and also an anchor. Let's go ahead, jump right in, and get started. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. But before we do, let's go ahead and look into some of the extensions I'm going to be using throughout this. So click on your extensions right over here in your Visual Studio Code. Once you're here, go ahead and search up the live preview one, the prettier code formatter, and also the VS Code icons one. Now the live preview one, what it's going to do is basically just show you a preview of your website that you're working on. Then for the prettier code formatter, it's basically going to reformat your code every time on save, which is super helpful and saves a lot of time. Below that, we have the Visual Studio Code icons, VS Code icons, which basically just shows a little icon of all the different folders and files you're working in. Super helpful also. So I highly recommend you download these and enable them. So go ahead and do that now if you don't already have them. Awesome. All right, I'm going to click back into the Explorer. I'm going to close out this. So far, so good. All right, let's go ahead now and create the actual file we're going to be working in. Now, currently I have an open folder with nothing in it. To create a new file for it, click on this little new file button. Let's go ahead now and call it index.html. Awesome. All right, now from here, let's go ahead, hold down Shift 1, and then hit Tab, and then you should get the default HTML code. Now, a couple things in here. Starting off here at the top, we have the document type, which is of course going to be HTML. Below that, we're going to have the actual HTML tag with the language set to English. All right. Below that, we're also going to have something called the header, which inside the header, there's some things called metadata, which is a little more advanced. You don't need to worry about that for now, but you do need to worry about the actual title of the document. All right, the title of the document is going to be shown at the top of the page or the browser. So if you click on this over here to show the preview, you're going to see that document matching up with the title. Perfect. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that a little bit over there. Now below that is the actual body of the HTML document. Now in the body, that's where we're gonna put most of the code that we're gonna be working on. All right, let's go ahead and get started putting some actual code now in there. So starting off, we're gonna go ahead and add something called a div and then some headers. So I'm gonna paste in my code right in there. You can either copy it from here or the source code attached to the description of the video. So I'm gonna paste my code here. Perfect. I'm gonna Control S to reformat it. All right, so starting off on line 9, we have a div. Now, most of the time in HTML, everything is going to be wrapped inside of a div. This helps separate our code into different sections, all right? We also want to give our divs things such as IDs so we know which divs we're working in. So this div, I named it div-1. Anytime you have divs with IDs or classes or names or any other identification number things, you always want to not have spaces, all right? So usually use something like a dash in between, like that, all right? Now inside of this div, I have a couple different things. I have all these different headers. You can see these headers right over here. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. I'm starting off here with H1, which is usually the main header of the document. As you can tell, it is the most bigger size and bolded. Then it goes on down from H2 to H3, and there's about usually 6 of them used in a website if it has a lot of different headers. Usually you don't want to do more than 6. At that point, you're going to do something called a paragraph or maybe some other text types. All right, awesome. So I'm going to add some space underneath this div and go on to the next one now. So we're going to add something else below it. I'm going to go ahead and copy my code and paste it. All right. Now this here code, starting off here on line 16, is something called a comment. So everything inside of these little opening tags here and closing tags here will not be visible on the website. This just helps us as developers so we can go ahead and put comments if we want to maybe add some descriptions to things or maybe put a comment for something that's missing that we want to put in later. Yep. Now below that is something called a BR, which is going to be a breakpoint. Now a breakpoint adds just a little bit more space in between different elements. As you can tell, there's a lot more space in between the headers and the paragraph text right here. Yep. Now below that, we also have another div. This div is called div2, and inside of it, as mentioned before, we have some paragraph text. Now inside the paragraph text, I also have something called a lorem. And lorem basically gives us some random generated text. Now if you want a specific number of generated text, all you have to do is type in lorem and then something like the amount of text you want, such as 500, and then hit tab and it will auto-generate that. All right, awesome. That's just super helpful in case you're trying to fill in space for certain things that you don't have the actual text for. All right, so below that paragraph, I also added some more breakpoints right here, and then I also added some HRs, and these are going to be these little lines here, which I usually call them horizontal lines. All right, these are nice to just separate sections and adding a little visualization to them as well. Awesome. All right, so that's it for that div. Let's go ahead and add the next one now. I'm going to go ahead and copy the div, paste it below. All right, so now we have another div here. This div is going to be containing a table. All right, so inside this table, there's a couple things set. Not only do we have the actual table tags here, but we also have something called a table header. Okay, so everything in the table header is going to be usually going across the whole table. All right, below that we have the table body, which is similar to the body of the HTML document. And inside the table body, we have the actual table data, which is all right here. I set 3 of them, as you can tell, and it separates them just like that. All right, awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one now. Let me copy it up. I'm going to paste it right underneath this div here. All right, this is going to be div 4, and inside this div, we're going to have different lists. So as I scroll down on the website, we currently have an unordered list, which is going to be that UL and that ordered list here on the top. Then inside of each list, you have things called list items, as you can tell from here. Perfect. Now you can add as many of those as you want. That's completely up to you. This is just a nice way to do it, either if you want it in order or if you just want it as the random dots here. Later down the road, if you learn CSS, you can actually customize the actual list item numbers, such as the colors of the circle, maybe the shapes, or even how the numbers are being portrayed. Maybe you want it to be reversed or in order. That's completely up to you. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one now. I'm going to copy it, paste it in. I'm going to paste it right underneath that div there. All right, we have another div here, and this one is going to have an actual image in the div. We can use the image tag as seen right here. We can give it something called a source, which can be from a web, usually like an address we can use, such as this one here, which is going to show a little dog picture. You can also give it an alternative tag. So for some reason, if our website can't access that image, then it's going to show this little dog word so that the viewer knows exactly what's supposed to be there, or us that knows what's missing. Awesome. All right. Last but not least, we're going to do one more. Let me go ahead and copy it and paste it below. All right. Last but not least, we have the actual anchor tag. So this anchor tag is really useful, especially for navigating. So if I click on this anchor tag, it's going to go ahead and take me to wherever that div 1 is. Now we use the hashtag to identify the ID type. So anything that's an ID is going to be resembled by a hashtag, okay? So the div 1, if we click on that, it should bring us back to the top of the page, which of course is at the header one right here. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to double click it, and there we go. We're at the back of the top of the page. Awesome. So again, if you want to copy all this down from the source code, you totally can. That's in the source code. I will see you next time. Please like and subscribe. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and serious about becoming a developer, you should totally consider joining Red Fools Academy. Once you sign up, you will get full access to all of our premium courses, support from myself and the Red Fools Studio team. Our courses include full stack website development, app development, game development, and many more to come. On your first sign up, you get a free 7 days to try it all out. A link will be added to the description, or you can go to the official website at redfoolstudio.com. See you in the lectures!